Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Subramanian Maslamani. I am a Tamil. Today my topic is I am an ordinary Tamil with extraordinary capacity. In Sri Lanka, how can a fair inquiry and genuine investigation can be done when the head of the nation himself is the center of investigation? There are no answers. It is like asking the mongoose to keep watch of the chicken coop. I have questioned the policeman about his fluency in law, and I have questioned the judges about the validity of the law, and I have raised hell with the Attorney General about the misconduct of the court staff. But Canada, as a great nation, respects when someone confronts the government about its misconduct. In Sri Lanka, I would have been dead long time ago. I do not stoop down to the colonial master and say I am a second class subject. Today I will not call myself a Sri Lankan. Sometimes I am hesitant to call myself a Tamil. It is the behavior of the Sri Lankan politician and the Tamil leadership that makes me cringe. Tamils are divided along the caste line, though they do not talk about it in public. I feel it in my bones. The caste system is so strong. The caste system is so strong that they produce some of the weakest people on earth. We produce trainable, travailleurs, means workers, and not leadable leaders. Here is a great example. This happened 10 years ago. That's 10 years ago. My mother-in-law was sick at the age of 80. Everyone thought she's going to die. Children from all over the world came to see her alive for the last one more time. I too went to see her. While talking, I asked one of the daughters, who is her doctor? Then I asked her what the doctors say. She told me her mother will not do what the doctors say. I suggested to the daughters that one of them must make sure she takes the medications as prescribed by the doctors. In September 2011, this year, she'll be 90 years old and we are going to celebrate it. Someone has to put down the feet and say, this is the way it has to be. That is how the world was built. Today, we have pictures of her with great-grandchildren taken along with her. Guess what we had done to the great-grandchildren? We have given them a legacy to live by. Sri Lanka is a nation. Sri Lanka as a nation has some geopolitical, geoclimatical problems that lead to socio-economic problems. The south is flushed with ample water and soil is rich in organic matter, the basic root of any civilization. In 1956, when I went to the south of Sri Lanka, I tasted the water from natural spring compared to the saline water in Japan. The south is endowed with such great wealth, but they do not know how to harness that gift of nature. They have been inducted into the hall of emotions, a politician's magic wand. In Jaffna, the situation is the soil is sandy, little water retention capacity, the soil is poor in organic matter, the food for the plants, and the water is saline. Caught between the Indians in the north and unyielding Sinhalese in the south, the Tamil man has to develop mental capacity to survive. The whole culture was developed around survival. One has to get up in the morning and run faster than the tiger to survive. and the tigers has to run faster than the prey to live. Self-preservation is a man's natural instinct. As Occam Razor states, every problem has a simple cause and a simple solution. The Sri Lankan problem is lack of pure clean water in the north and the Tamils moving south to take over the assets belonging to the Sinhalese. It is the inability of the Sri Lankan leadership to harness the resources of both north and south that led to the conflict. Forget about religion, language, and race. Today, there are Tamils who are more Buddhist than Sinhalese and speak their language better than the Sinhalese. Therefore, the Sinhalese must stop their bullshit. They go around the villages and fan the flame of racism and fanaticism. When none of this can be, when none of these guys can be seen next to Lord Buddha, we don't see them next to Lord Buddha. They simply don't have it. Religion is the opium of the masses, and democracy is not for all. While this was going on in the south, Sinhalese while this was going on in the South Sinhalese side emerges racism, fanaticism, led by the Mahanayakas and the mindless Mahindas. Emotions run deep and can stir people to mindless action without any deliberation and without fear of consequences. Soon after independence, a maniac called S.W.R.D. Bandaranaike, who studied at Oxford, returned home and fanned the flame of hatred and started civil commotion. People who call the LTTE terrorist organizations are either too young or too stupid or both. Pick your choice. LTT was a defense mechanism as natural to any biological system. When a natural living system is threatened, it develops immunity to fend off invasion. As I said, let it be any emancipated or eminent leader or scientist, if they cannot comprehend nature, they have got educated in the wrong discipline. When you listen to Palita Kohana or the great liar Piris, one could feel the disregard for their own character. They have descended to the level of prehistoric man. When a man knows that he is telling a lie, when the other man knows that he is lying, and when he knows that the other man knows that he is lying, that man has lost his moral compass and the gravity of conscience. Where is the world heading towards? America is the eye of the hurricane or the epicenter of change. The civil rights movement in the 1960s and the political change in the year 2000 have served and saved the world from disaster. To help the poor people of India and China, the American people took on huge debt to raise them from poverty and the spread of fanaticism. Imagine if India and China go fanatic. Chinese are smart people. They are reducing their population from 130 per square kilometers to about 50 per square kilometer, a manageable size. Compare that with India, 300 per square kilometer, and Bangladesh with 1,000 per square kilometer. How can one feed, clothe, cultivate, and provide social needs with one person per 1 square meter of land? The standard Canadian home provides 50 square meters of home space per person. That is just the living and the sleeping space. Go back to the American enterprise. The world is becoming an America. America is not a landmass with two-legged animals roaming. America is a concept distilled out of the experience from the rest of the world. America took on a huge debt load to help mainly China go in Islam. But what happened was all the goods made in China went to Walmart and the next day into the dump sites. There is no respect for Chinese people in China. All their hard labor and dignity end up in garbage dump sites in America, except some of them are sent back to China as recyclable material. So much for human dignity, never mind human rights. They know how to walk on a line. When the line ends, they don't know which way to go. We will wait and see. America is like a mythical bird phoenix. It will destruct itself to rise from its ashes and soar to new heights. The current human genome is incapable of handling new frontiers, so America is transforming to a new race of people. People like I, who are free to enterprise and new systems of social sciences. In America, the boss is the first one in, last one out of the workplace. Every boss has climbed the ladder one rung at a time. When a new immigrant comes from Afghanistan, he could not believe that the boss was sweeping the floor. The boss knows where every speck of dust falls. He has to, otherwise, competition will outrun and overrun him. That is what freedom does, and when the government becomes the watchdog of freedom and equality and equity, the Americans know that if people do not go to work, nothing happens. The president is either called Mr. President or by his first name. He is as equal as to another guy working in the gas bar or as a dishwasher or a janitor. Compare this to Sri Lanka. Rajapaksa says he is going to allocate so much money for such and such a project. The guy has no concept of where the money comes from, and the people don't know where the money comes from either, other than the Tamils, who depends on the dollar comes from the west, or the poor Sinhalese girls have to prostitute their body for foreign exchange. We all know that there's large-scale prostitution in Sri Lanka linked to the tourism industry. Mahinda Rajapaksa must at least take a holiday to Cuba and find out what the Cubans are willing to do for $1 American. Sri Lanka, through years of developed stubbornness and belligerence, has become impervious to human feelings. When the president is a known murderer, and the previous prime minister shadows and shelters him from arrest and persecution, the whole nation has gone to dogs. Justice, the hallmark of democracy, has been hijacked. The cuckoo has taken over the human nest. When the criminal has taken over the money printing department, gathered the gang of thugs, put some of them with Western three-piece suits, and the rest with army fatigue and armed them with Chinese-made arms, Indian-made corrupted policies, and showing middle finger at the United Nations, what has become of this tiny atoll in the Indian Ocean? World is unable to do anything about it, for like hyenas, they are foraging on the dead carcass of Sri Lanka. It is the Sri Lankan people, and the Sri Lankan people alone can take back their country. When the official opposition leader, Ranil Wickremesinghe, said he wants to join the government and desert the people, we know what is happening. He wants to abandon the Sri Lankan people and nation and salvage Mahinda Rajapaksa and the criminals. There is something not right about his motives. Earlier, 10 years ago, Ranil salvaged Mahinda Rajapaksa from murder charges, and now he is trying to save him from war crimes and crime against humanity. I do not know why. Sri Lanka can be a sovereign nation if it upholds human rights laws and the international laws, to which it must conduct a transparent and credible investigation into genocide, war crimes, human rights violations and also investigate the people who have broken the Sri Lankan laws. All murders and civil rights violations must be investigated. But alas, how can they when Mahinda Rajapaksa is the center of all these allegations? That is Occam razor. There's a simple cause and a simple solution. Mahinda Rajapaksa is a simple cause and he is the simple solution. That is what is holding back all the investigation. But the world is too civilized to point a finger at a man who is presumed innocent until proven guilty. But when there are loopholes and flaws in the man-made justice, only natural laws will suffice. A man who commits crime must pay for that crime by exactly the equivalent amount. One must dig into Hammurabi's codes, and philosophies of Marcus Aurelius to find means to deal with Mahinda Rajapaksa. Until next week, as I always said, 70 million Tamils worldwide unite, stay together, work hard, and never ever give up. The best is yet to come, and we are winning. My name is Subramanian Maslamani, a world class Tamil, powered by convictions, commitments, and conscience.